Welcome, Andreas Evangelou. Thank you for coming.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, it's the Fit Factory currently.
Yeah.
And hopefully, from the sounds of things and the looks of things, everything's going really well. But before we kind of delve into that, like what we wanted to do is talk about your previous life and where you came from and where you grew up, and so people can see the story behind the legends.
I want to say legend status at the moment, but you never know. Where did I grow up? So we grew up in Wood Green, the poor side. I don't know if there's any rich side of Wood Green, to be honest, but now it's looking a bit better, to be fair. Actually, no, it isn't. So yeah, we grew up in Wood Green. I've got 2 brothers, 1 sister, with my mum and dad. And we were just a normal family, just always fighting with my brothers. We did start boxing quite early. As you know, I was a professional boxer. So when I say started boxing, we used to just roll up socks and put socks in our things there.
How old were you?
We were young, man. Thinking about it, there's loads of pictures that I keep like surfacing that we had little like boxing gloves, but like 4 or 5 years old. I didn't realise our boxing background went back that far. I kind of thought it when I was early teens, but yeah. So we started just playing on the street with my brother. Mainly when I say brother, I got 2 brothers, Foddy and Chris, and my sister Marissa. Foddy was a little bit older than me, and he was a character himself. You've met him yourself. Maybe he should come here one day.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was me and Chris mainly. Me and Chris used to just always play with each other. Not in that way.
Yeah. We used to like box around and play around.
On the street, like football, we used to pass the ball to each other, be in the middle of the road, playing ball. We used to wrestle, we used to box. We used to just do everything a lot together.
Yeah.
Boisterous.
Yeah, boisterous little brothers. We used to fight a lot, but then make up, fight a lot. So we were very close from early on. And so grew up in Wood Green, went to school in Finchley, Christchurch, which shut down. It was a terrible school.
Was it? Why?
It was just bad, man. The kids there were just rough.
Right.
We weren't rough kids, but we were in an environment that didn't really think education was really important. So didn't get the best of grades, to be fair. My brother got good grades though. Chris did, actually, saying that. So maybe it wasn't the school, it was me.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I blame my mates.
It's their fault.
Yeah, it's their fault. So I went there, then I went Woodhouse College, which was really good. We wouldn't have got in unless we were from the school next door, because I got for the back end.
Yeah,
They had to take a certain amount of kids in, and we luckily got in. I done well there, to be fair.
What did you study?
I done business studies, GMVQ, which was my first thing to get in, because they were like, your grades, you can't do A levels. I was like, all right, I've done that. But then the next year I done 3 A levels, so I was like my foundation. I done business, classical civilization, and accounts. Accounts I never done very good in, but I didn't really enjoy it. I actually wanted to be an accountant, and I thought, yeah, that's why I picked it. But I hated it. It was just T ledgers and balance sheets, and it was just all day looking at numbers. And I do like numbers, to be fair.
Yeah.
I do the numbers at my gym, and I do like that bit, but I couldn't do it day in, day out, because I do loads of things at the gym. And then I done classical civilization. Someone I really admired was Alexander the Great. He conquered the known world, and I done my 10,000 word sort of essay on him.
Like you in Cockfosters, like.
Oh, right, yeah, we're starting from, we're spreading out.
Yeah, that's it.
But no, I love what he done. I like the Greek mythology as well. I like things like when I was boxing as well, like the 300 films like that really motivated me. And having Greek ancestry,
You resonated.
I can relate to it. Yeah, man, I would root them on. Do you know what I mean? Because I was part of them, and I'd like to think back in the day we would have been Spartans because of what we do now. I mean, if we're training now as hard, pretty sure we would have been on the front line. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So I've done that, and then I've done business studies as well. Business, I always had a knack for it. I didn't really listen much in class, to be honest, but in A2, I got like the top mark in the year in Woodhouse, which is one of the best schools and colleges in the country, and I got one of the highest marks, and that was through just naturally just going, turn up at the paper and just answering the questions. So I've always been business minded.
You obviously had a passion for it as well, where like
I really enjoy it. Business to me has never been boring, and it's never been like a chore. it's fun. It's the game. The
Exciting.
game of business is money's nice, but it's a byproduct of success. And if you're doing well and the money's there, it means you're doing the right thing. It's motivating as well, obviously, but I just really enjoy the business side. Hence why at our gym there's kind of two parts. And me and my brother are a really good partnership. My brother's an actor and he was a pro boxer as well. He's fighting actually on Friday, so he hasn't given it up properly yet, but he likes the social media aspect and he's really good at it. And I know people pay a lot of money to people who do social media, sort of, what's the word? They run their social media and he just does it. Obviously, we're a partnership, so he knows what he's doing, so that helps there. And I run the other side, which is the account side, which is a bit boring at times, but it's my strength.
Yeah.
So we kind of do both sides on that. I'm more of the director of that side and he runs that side.
So from Woodhouse College.
I've missed a gap here, haven't I? Right. So after Woodhouse College, I started working in banking, and I thought I was going to go to university, and I went for one day, and I went to Hertfordshire Uni, and there was a lot of traffic that day, and this changed my life, to be fair, because it took me an hour and a half to get there, and I thought I can't do an hour and a half drive every day, and I don't even think it was, but the next day I thought I'm just going to go and work. And it might sound boring again, but I used to play Monopoly by myself. And I used to have 4 or 5 characters. I somehow managed to always be the richest one at the table. I know. So I used to buy that property. And I was like, I'm going to work in banking and I'm going to climb the ladder and I'm just going to invest as much as I can in property. For this was when I was 17. So got a job with NatWest and started off good, and I got promoted 3 times in a year and a half just because I enjoyed what I was doing. And I didn't really enjoy it actually, but I thought, you know what, it could be worse things I'm doing. But I had a bit of a gift for that as well.
It was quite interesting. Maybe it was different in my household, but did your dad not ever try and get you to do anything specific or?
No, not really.
I
didn't really. My dad and mum are quite liberal in that they let us just make our own choices, and they're very supportive. Yeah. Like with our boxing, my dad couldn't have supported anyone more. Like opened so many doors for us in boxing. We travelled around the world, trained in Mayweather's gym, trained in Manny Pacquiao's gym with Freddie Roach, trained with Jesse Reed. We were signed to Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, who's the zone now. We were signed to Frank Warren.
And what was this at the same time while you were working?
No. So I was at NatWest and I thought, do you know what? I don't know if I still want to do this anymore. So I joined the police and I joined them for a year. And I was there for a year. I enjoyed it to an extent, but I didn't really like the surroundings of being around so many police all day, to be honest. Not that I'm a criminal, but...
sweating all the time.
Some of them... just a bit annoying, let's say. So I was like, all right, do you know what? Something happened in the police anyway, and I had to leave because I didn't really want to continue it. And I thought, right, what am I going to do now, man? What am I going to do? And I went and worked for my stepdad, and he's got a shop in Camden. And it was just like, yeah, come and get a job, man, just see what you want to do. But it was like, not really, it was a mediocre job. I was just literally just moving things in the shop, and it's like clothing, like menswear, workwear, getting boxes, putting that there. And I was like, I used to be a bloody policeman, man. I used to have a badge that people were like, thought, this guy, man, yeah, you got
authority.
Yeah, I had authority and status, and now I'm cutting boxes and putting socks in it. And that lasted only a few weeks because it was just a little stopgap. It weren't a career for me. It was just like, you know what I mean, if you want to just do something. Kind of. And I really wanted to work with youth, do youth work. And I went for a job as a TA, teaching assistant, really low money, like teaching assistants aren't the highest paid. And I never even got it. I was like, for God's sake, man, what am I going to do? So I went and worked at my dad's gym just as a volunteer. And they used to work with like I wouldn't say dysfunctional kids, but kids who are having issues at school. Because boxing and behaviour go really well together. The discipline of boxing.
It's quite therapeutic as well, though.
It's therapeutic, but boxing is magical. I don't know what it is, but you teach people to fight, box, let's say, kids, mainly kids. And it heals them mentally, physically, for me anyway, emotionally, spiritually. Boxing done that for me. And straightened me up. And I was like, do you know what? I wanted to work with youth, but I wanted to do boxing as well. And I was working there, and by chance I met someone called Mervyn Cato, and he brought some kids in and he said, do you want to come and work with us for like a couple of weeks as a temp? I said, yeah, all right. So it was a unit where they send permanently excluded students. So in the borough of Enfield, I think there was 18,000 kids, and I used to get the 18 that were the worst. No, well, I don't want to say worst. The most troubled kids that no school wanted. If they were kicked out, last resort to still be in education. I used to get them. But I loved it, man. And I was boxing as well. I was like the cool teacher. I was like, yeah, he's a boxer, you know, he's a boxer. So no one ever started on me, because these kids will start on you as well, yeah? Some of them were there for punching the headmaster in the head. And I mean, and it was brilliant. I loved it. So I was there for a couple of weeks. And I was there for 15 bloody years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I stayed there. I built a career there, which was really good when I did turn pro. I'm probably skipping a bit here and there, but it's kind of coming. So left NatWest, left the police, wanted to work with youth, and I finally got in, and it became a permanent job. So I was mentoring them through a bit of boxing.
Because just as an example, I remember a story you were telling me about. There was a kid that had a weapon at the school, and you could see he was like...
Oh, yeah. When I said that...
you had to grab...
In the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, I remember I was just having my coffee, and I see this kid, this Turkish boy, just walking in like that. And I was like, what's this guy doing? He was walking to a room, and he had a broken bottle in his hand. And I was like, fuck. And I grabbed him, and he was wrestling. I was, put it down, man, put it down. Anyway, put it down. And then I don't know what happened. There was another kid in there that was going to go and stab. Oh. So I shut that door. I think I was in the building by myself or with one other member of staff, but I had to deal with that. That was just one thing, though. That was pretty much... That was just every day something like that happened. I found like knives in the toilet, you know, where the
cisterns,
knives in there. They used to come in high. When they used to come in high, I never used to give them too much stick, to be fair, because I thought, what am I going to do, send them home? Some teachers used to call the police down, and the police used to come, and they never trusted that teacher again. Because it would be like, do you get what I mean? It's about relationship building as well. You're not going to stop the kids from puffing weed, because probably, very likely... I had once the parent selling the weed to the kids in the park. So imagine if their parents are selling weed. Why are they going to listen to me when they're spending 99% of their week with their parents who are bunning and 1% with me? And I'm going to say, no, don't bun. Oh yeah, what were you going to bun? I'm going to call the police. Where's the element of trust?
Yeah.
So some people may say, oh, you got to call the... When I say police, it's the educational police system that they work with schools. But they're still the police, though.
Yeah.
And they'll come down in uniform and like talk to them, and you never got their trust again. And them kids will make that teacher's life a bloody misery.
Oh, as well.
And so I was there for many years. So when I was there, I was boxing as well at my dad's gym, which was actually like 1 mile away. So I was working in Ponders End, and my dad's gym was in Edmonton.
Edmonton Eagles, for anyone that doesn't
Edmonton
know.
Eagles, yeah. We'll give that a plug as well. Edmonton Eagles. So I was there, and I was fighting, and I was winning. And I had my first fight. I knocked him out in about a minute. I had my second fight. I knocked him out in 2 rounds. I had my third fight, beat him. Fourth fight, beat him. Fifth fight, beat him.
Amateur fights.
Amateur boxing, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was still going out with my mates. I was smoking. I was drinking. I wasn't disciplined at all. But I was boxing, and boxing was keeping me focused. And then I had my 6th fight, and it was stepping up the level now. It was a regional tournament, so the guys were getting better as well. And I remember fighting him, and I was better than him, but I never had my tank because of smoking. And I remember after the fight, I was vomiting black tar. And my dad said to me, when I say, you know what I mean, you're only vomiting like the smoke in your lungs. Yeah, the phlegm, basically that. And my dad was like, listen, if you don't stop smoking, I'm not going to be in your corner again. And I said, all right. And I've only ever had 1 rematch, was that?
See you later, mate.
I could have said that. So if I said that, I would have just stuck with my mates, just doing what I was doing. But I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a proper month. And I stopped everything. I was just focused on the only rematch I ever had. And I trained my arse off, and I battered him in the rematch. And that was my life-changing moment. I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it now. And I continued doing really well. My brother was a pro boxer at the time as well. I was working at the unit, so my hours are actually really good. I got 13 weeks holiday a year. 8:30 till 3:30 was my day. So I was finished at 3:30, and I'd just be at the gym at 4. When most people are still working. I was still working at the bank. Do you know what I mean? The police, I would have been working 14, 16 hours a day. So it was brilliant. I had the job. I had right next to the gym. and it was my dad's gym, so I was just there whenever I wanted. I was there. I was addicted to it every day. I've got a bit of addictive personality, and it can be used for good and bad. Depends on what you focus on. And I got addicted to boxing. So anyway, focus, had a few more amateur fights, and my brother was pro. He was signed to Eddie Hearn. Do you know him?
Yeah, for sure.
When we had a good selection. My brother was a top amateur boxer. He was a champion of England. He won about 7 gold medals in the amateurs in European tournaments.
Amazing.
He represented Cyprus in the Olympics. He beat Olympians, like bronze medalists in tournaments. They never always gave him the decision, but there's politics in amateur boxing and pro boxing.
Yeah.
But he had that experience of beating like the Bulgarian bronze medalist in the Olympics, and he battered him. And I remember being in Romania, and he'll punch him in the face and they wouldn't click the button. But then he'll hit my brother here, hit the button. But I knew the politics.
It's corrupt.
Yeah, it's corrupt, but you still get the experience.
Absolutely.
So
how do you navigate through that corruption?
It's hard. It's hard because they're stealing kids' dreams. The thing with amateur boxing is it's youngsters, and they're taking away a little kid who's training their whole life to be this person for a bit of money. That's what I don't like about it.
Is that what the trade-off is?
That is the trade-off, yeah. And I'm a pro. I promote now myself. And I'll never set fights up that aren't fair because I've been in the fight game myself. And I wouldn't want someone to be fighting a fight that there's no way they're going to be able to win it, and they're going to be dreaming about winning it because you're stealing dreams.
You're stealing, literally.
Setting people up to fail.
Yeah, for gain. It's dishonest, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
And my dad's a promoter himself as well, and we got the same
ethic
in it also, yeah. So anyway, we had a lot of doors open. Joe Kawasaki wanted to sign my brother. He did sign my brother, actually, but he went to Wales. And he was like, I can't live in Wales in the middle of nowhere. He was only there for 1 week. My dad had to bloody manoeuvre him out of a contract. But he managed to do it again. Then Ricky Hatton wanted to sign him. But that was in Manchester. So again, we needed London. And then we stuck with Eddie Hearn, which was Barry Hearn at the time, his dad.
Big name, man.
Yeah, man, very good, very good. Yeah. And it was really good. And he was doing well. He did do well in boxing, but he had 5 pro fights. And then I was ready to turn pro. I think I'd done my amateur days, and so I jumped on board with my brother and my dad as well.
How old was you then?
I was 26, 27. Cool. I think 26 or 27. I had my first pro fight. So imagine a few years before that. I learned a lot on the job, though, from being with my brother. I never had as many amateur fights as him. But when we went training in America in the wild card with like Freddie Roach, I was sparring these Mexicans who were harder than any amateur fight you're ever going to have in a hot box. 30-second rest as well. And it weren't like a thing. It was boo, 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 boo. There's always the sound in them gyms. That sound.
The alarm.
It's a bit nerve-wracking, like, oh, man. And still it was boiling as well. Yeah, you can have memories. Even deep heat. It will remind me of amateur boxing. You done amateur boxing yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
So that smell takes me back to amateur changing rooms because it was always deep heat, man. Everyone deep heating. So anyway, I got my experience on the job, let's say. But I used to spar a lot of top names as well, like pro boxers. So I went up that route. And so from being like this guy who weren't really doing much, I had my debut in Wembley with my brother as well, fighting on the bill.
Oh, nice.
On the Tyson Fury undercard. Oh. So I was sitting on the same stool as Tyson Fury. I mean, like now he's the biggest name in boxing. And I shared the ring with him. I never fought him.
That's sick.
Because he would have had a loss on his name now. No, I'm joking. We're not the right weight. But I think I was a good level. And from that, then I boxed in York Hall, which is like the spiritual home of boxing. I boxed there 4 times. That's where my show is on Friday. Go for it.
But do you know what? I've completely forgot to give Nemo the heads up, but we're still not going to lose this. Yeah. I emailed you, who was that fight with that you sent us?
Ricard Bolotniks. So, what was I doing? I was fighting, done York Hall, I boxed him. I was the first person for 13 years to box in Royal Albert Hall because they banned it. And then
they used to have boxing in there,
didn't they? They did, but they stopped it because I don't know why they stopped it, but we were with Eddie Hearn, and then Frank Warren said, have you got any boxers? We need a boxer for the night. And they said, do you want to do it, Andreas? I had only 10 days notice. And that was the first fight I wasn't disciplined that I ever had. When I was always focused. And I was going out with a girl, and it kind of like went pear-shaped. Like only like a week before the fight, and I was like, I was in a bit of a muddle with it. And I didn't train properly. And I fought this guy, and my dad said, you know what, we'll just get you something to move about with. Anyway, the day before, they give me these 2 guys. Who do you want to fight, this guy or this guy? They're both undefeated. I was like, bloody hell, man, I thought he was going to be... Because the undefeated guys are protecting their... Oh, yeah. So I thought this guy, I said, I'll fight him. And they're like, all right. So I said to him, and then the next day he pulled out. So then I got the other guy. This other guy was 6'4". So he was massive, man. He was really big. I had no sparring for this. I had no training. I didn't even train properly.
And 10 days notice.
About 10 days. Because it was like they needed a fighter.
Yeah,
so they don't normally cross over Matchroom, which was Eddie Hearn and... Frank Warren, because they aren't have enemies really.
And normally when they need a fighter, they're just picking someone out of a rabbit hat.
They're picking someone out of a hat. But yeah, I was on Frank Warren's show, so all of Frank Warren's fighters were getting first round, second round knockouts because they were fighting really low level boxers. And I was the only fighter who was undefeated against an undefeated guy, and I've never been punched so hard in my bloody life. It's a bit like a circus in there. I don't know if you've been Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
he went bam and just. I think I was knocked out standing up, but I went like that and I just grabbed him. I got through the round and then I started coming back though, because my conditioning before was like, I trained hard, but I didn't train as hard as I should have done. Anyway, I knocked him back about probably the same. We gave each other, we were black and blue at the end of it and we drew it. And that was my only little... I never lost at least, so my hands always been raised.
Was that a draw in the end?
But that was a draw, but he was against a good fighter in 4 rounds. I would wish it was 6 because I got my mojo back and I think I could have stopped him, but he... good luck to him. I think his name's something Kelly. A long time ago, I can't remember your first name. But I'm trying to remember. But nah. So anyway, yeah, so from that, had a few more fights and then...
we'll have a look at... We'll have a look at this fight.
You're going to have a look at this fight?
Yeah, so
okay.
Nemo, if you put it, if we can get it like right on the last few minutes, because it's like a 15-minute video. I watched it already.
Oh, is it? Oh, is it the whole video? I could have given you the highlights.
Yeah. We'll go. Oh, have you got did you have a highlights one as well?
I did have highlights. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go near the end, like about the last 2-3 minutes.
So this guy was on a Steve Goodwin show. So this was like my last 2 fights. My last couple fights, we went freelance from promoting. We didn't have a contract. We were with Eddie Hearn and then Frank Warren, and then we kind of like wanted to get a few more fights in. So they say, yeah, you want to fight this guy? He's quite a tough guy, but do you want to fight him? We said, yeah, all right. And he was the hardest hitter I've ever been in the ring with. I remember after the first round, he punched my stomach, and I was like, oh fucking hell, this guy's gonna hit hard.
So anyone that didn't know, Steve Goodwin, it's paused.
Oh, yeah, you're connected to him as well, aren't you?
Steve Goodwin was a boxing promoter, wasn't he?
He still is, I believe, but you know him as well, don't you?
Yeah, my dad...
He's also a financial advisor.
My dad's financial advisor as well, so... Yeah, I don't know if he's... if he's a boxing promotion...
I believe he still does, yeah. Anyway, I fought this guy, and he went on to do really well, this guy, but I knew he was going to do good because of how strong he was. I stopped him in the 4th round, which not many people have done, but he went on to win the MTK Golden Gloves tournament, which was the tournament of 6 top boxers in the world. And he won it. He knocked out the bronze medalist in the Olympics. He knocked out the British champion at the time. He won on points. No, he didn't. The finals, he knocked him out. He was a tough guy. Then he fought Joshua Buatsi, who's the #1 in Great Britain at the moment. He done him in 10.
He's still going this.
He fought on the Canelo undercard 2 weeks ago.
Did he?
Yeah, he fought a world champion. So he was world champion level. And I beat him better than all of them did, without sounding arrogant. But I know the level I was going in boxing because I was mixing with like Frank Buglioni, he was a British champion. I think you know him as well. He's a local guy. Who else was I sparring? American boxers. Ola Afolobi, he was a world champion. Cruiserweight as well, a lot bigger than me. Nathan Cleverly, world champion with Frank Warren as well. So I was getting a lot of top sparring, and I was on my level. That was my level. And then you could say, I was just sparring, but then I beat this guy. We were both young in this, but it kind of, if you were good, you were good, if you know what I mean.
Oh, how old were you there?
I don't know, man. Probably about 29, 30.
29, 30. And
and this was my 10th pro fight.
And he was roughly...
He was like 24,
Oh,
25.
really? Yeah.
But he had a background in other mixed martial arts. He actually had more fights than me in background. Because remember I said I only had 11 amateurs.
Yeah,
So this is my 21st fight. I think this was like his 40th or 50th. So it goes a long way. But anyway, I trained hard to win. And I did.
Nice, thank you.
And
thank you.
then after that fight, I fought for a title with Steve Goodwin as well.
Nice.
And that was my
Was
first
that at
10
Wembley?
rounder. No, that was in York Hall. And I was a bit nervous because 10 rounds is 40 minutes in the ring. And I've never done 6 before. But it was good. I won every round.
That's a big jump, isn't it?
Yeah, but I was comfortable with it, and I felt really energized at the end. I thought, I could do another 2. I could definitely have done 12, maybe even longer, because my conditioning was good.
Because what I saw from like the difference between amateur and pro, like when I went to your dad's amateur, it was like a bit of a free for all, like just
because of the pace is faster. It's a sprint, and pro boxing is marathon.
Yeah.
Now I love jogging. I could jog. I could probably be a marathon runner, to be honest, and I like that pace. I would always prefer longer fights. If I did fight again, I wouldn't do 4 rounds. I'd definitely start on 6, maybe 8, just because I like being in the ring longer, and I know how to get people tired by encouraging them to just do tricks that I've learned, because you don't do what I'm doing for like 25 years without knowing. I'm in a ring all day, every day. My life is a 12-round clock. Like I train George, I train a lot of people every day. I do classes, and it's just 12 rounds, 12 rounds, 12 rounds, and add a little bit more because it's an hour. So then I won the title, and I was 10th in Great Britain. Had a belt, had good promoters behind us, and I had another fight coming up. But I met my wife. My wife, that was the first fight she actually saw me fight. In York Hall. Maybe I was up in my game to impress her. Probably was, to be honest. Because, maybe I've been thinking about it. She probably did give me that extra motivation. So I met my wife. She's Turkish Cypriot girl. I'm Greek Cypriot. So obviously you might know there's been a bit of beef between the two nations for 40 something. You know what I mean? We're a mixture here.
yeah, that's it. Multicultural now.
Yeah, over 40 years they've been at war, to be honest, and
that was a bit problematic for you in your.
It was problematic for both of us because of our relationship. We had family issues, shall we say, that not everyone was too pleased that we were together. And
that diverted your attention away from.
Well, not straight away, but it did when they found out about us.
Yeah,
before it was all right. Because I had my second fight and won the title on a few months after that, and Eminem was there again, and the same place, both were in York Hall. So I won the title. Then I had my third fight coming up, and that was going to be in January, February. December was when it kind of all came out, and it was like, let's just say shit hit the fan. Everyone weren't happy about it. I won't go into that too much, just to not be
disrespectful.
Yeah. But it went a bit pear-shaped. I pulled out of boxing thinking, do you know what? I've met a girl who I love, and I didn't want to lose her as well. So I
mean, bearing in mind, how long had you been boxing at this point?
About 15 to 20 years.
15 to 20 years. So
how old was I at that time? 33. 15 years and 10 years solid.
Yeah.
So it was, and my relationship was always boxing. The hiccup I had when I drew, it weren't real. It was just, if it weren't love, it was what's the word? It just shocked my system a bit for like 1 week. You know, when you're going out with a girl, it was only like 6 months, but it was like, oh, what's going on here? You know what I mean? And then that week, I ended up having the fight at the wrong time. It wasn't the relationship in a sense. It was the circumstances around it.
Yeah.
So, but that taught me a lot as well. And I was like, never give a woman too much. And then Eminem came along.
Yeah. Before that, you was like, never give a woman too much.
Yeah, no, my relationship was boxing, man. I used to train twice a day, eat so clean. I remember lying down. I loved Holyfield, and I liked his style of staying inside and boxing. So I used to put his videos on to fall asleep to, for the subconscious to get into my brain, which was weird, but I used to train my brain as well. Yeah, so nice. I would lie down, fall asleep, wake up, and I wake up and it'll still be going on. And I couldn't even watch it, but...
You should wake up and start swinging around in the
when
bedroom.
You train so much, when we trained in LA, we were boxing so much, when we would fall asleep in the car, I remember me and my buddies like that. You do it.
No, really.
Yeah. Even Eminem now sees me walking down the street and I just got to do this move. And like, wow, it never leaves you. You see boxers, they look mental. Yeah. So
that's what I do in the Fit Factory. My head's
everyone does it, man. You're even tell me you don't ever make a coffee and you're like, oh, while it's bobbling, just pretending you're fighting. It happens. So that shook my boxing career as a pro boxer, because I said I was, all right, let me just take a bit of time out, because I was fighting a tough guy for my second title, and I got injured. I fell off a treadmill, actually, which was dumb. It was on switched on at Southgate Leisure Centre, and I went to stand on it, and I just, you ever seen them comedy clips where like they go on it and I fall over the gap and I whack my elbow, and it started clicking a bit. I just couldn't find my hand, and I thought, oh, it's a sign. I said, Dad, I can't fight, I'm injured, which was easy to just get out of the fight because an injury is an injury, which really maybe my injury was emotional.
It's interesting. Yeah, you might have used it as a bit more.
Yeah, it could have been, because maybe I should have. Now I just say to people when injured, because I've done it anyway, because I switch hit, Southpaw Orthodox, which is switching boxing left hand, boxing right hand.
Your stance.
My stance, yeah. Because I always worked around injury. But this one, I just maybe took the easy way out and said, I'll fight in a few months. And a few months just never happened. It just, something else happened. And I just fell out of pro boxing as a pro boxer. And it messed me up, man. I remember, as I was saying earlier, about a year later, sitting in Southgate Leisure Centre again, where I was injured, and like crying in the sauna, just thinking, why can't I get back? I couldn't get the fight back to be a boxer. I really wanted to.
It sounded like you traded the love from something into something
Yeah,
else.
maybe that was it. But now, everything happens for a reason, I suppose. And even how we got the gym was by such a chance that if you just had a flick, it would never have existed. So I stopped my kind of boxing when I'd won that title. I was about 31 years old. And I was still working. I became a manager at my unit. So I developed this new program, and it was like, yeah, let's give it a crack. And it was really good. It was saving the council hundreds of thousands of pounds a year, what my idea was. Because again, remember, I was good at business, yeah?
Yeah.
So
what was your idea?
we used to outsource our kids. I used to work for Enfield Council. Okay. So a kid's to this place from a school, they get into the system of, we need to give this kid an alternative provision. Because no schools touch kids after you've been excluded once. Twice, definitely not. And I used to get the ones that were done normally twice. Or criminal convictions. I used to work with kids that were done for rape, been raped, teen pregnancies that were 14 years old, drug dealers, people who had done GBH, everything. Just because kids still break the law.
Yeah.
And I used to get them. And so we used to spend the fortune as a council. So I was alternate provision coordinator before. So we'd have like 50, 60 kids. This one would go to that alternate provision. And an alternate provision is an alternative school. They're very small schools, 20, 30 kids max, because of the behaviour. Imagine you're not even going to put 600 kids like this in one place, yeah.
It's too much.
And they do things like maths, English, but more functional stuff like art, creative things.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
you want to be a mechanic? Do a mechanics course. And
more
so long as
hands-on.
they came, it was like, wow, yeah, just come. So you needed to keep attendance high, because they didn't really want to go to school anyway.
No.
They didn't really have good families getting them into school or role models. And they what else were they? And they done things like sport, art, music, anything like DJing, active stuff that they couldn't sit down. I don't think I'd like sitting down too much.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Any meeting I used to have for an hour, I used to just be like, I think I might have had a borderline ADHD. Probably still do now.
So how did you deal with like the psychological side with these
It was very
kids?
hard, man. It was like a hurricane would come in 8:30, and you would take a lot of. But what happened was, with regards to how the system came up, so these kids were going there, but they used to charge the council 20 grand, 40 grand, 60 grand, 15 grand.
Who would be, sorry?
Alternative providers.
So
Privately
outside
owned
of-
companies, yeah.
Right.
I could have actually opened one of these. And maybe, and if I'd opened one, my business would have been, I charge 20 grand a kid, and I try and get 30 kids in, and you'll
What's that, per annum or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're going to try and have your costs 300-400 grand, 500 grand, and you make 100 grand, and that's your profit, and you become a business. That's your business. But I said, we had an empty building. It was a big church, really, really big building, to be fair, like a basketball court inside.
Who had
Enfield
one?
Council.
Oh, okay.
1, 2, 3, 4 classrooms. And I said, why don't we, instead of sending these kids out, because they're shit. Oh, and the other thing is as well, the alternative provision I used to work with, I used to go there. The kids used to be on Google, Instagram. Well, not Instagram. They just used to babysit the kids.
Yeah.
But not give them a good output. Attendance was low because it wasn't good. So I said, let's do it ourselves. So my manager, again, Mervyn, said, give it a go, Andreas, and see what happens. And we just smashed it. We had 20 kids. These kids were coming in every day. It was a bit like, have you seen Gangster's Paradise?
Yeah, what the...
Like, you know the film? You might be a bit young for it.
Yeah, I know the film.
Yeah. It was like that, man. These kids started coming into school. They started behaving better. We became a family. In that school, with the 20 kids, and we had like 5 really good staff. Like Sarah, she still works for me, like new level.
Yeah.
She was a TA who was trained up in the sexual exploitation side, so the girls were covered there. I had someone called Colin, strict Jamaican guy. This guy, you didn't mess with him, but he was like your older uncle that he would tell you off. Me, I was a joker, but a bit serious, if you know what I mean. But I used to have to run the ship. And a guy called Sean from Manchester, and he was like, he had his Mancunian accent, bit of a gag man, and that was a solid team. And a TA, he was there as well, a couple of TAs. And it was just a family. We used to have breakfast together. We used to have lunch together. We used to go to Thorpe Park together. They were fun days, them ones, when they used to bring the weed and I used to come back stinking of weed. Like, where you guys been? But it was a little family, but they came because they knew we were their safe place. We were the place they wanted to be. 8:30 till 3:30 or 2:30. They finished a bit earlier so they didn't mug the other kids when they finished at 3:30. That's what it was like. We used to be like, all right, we've got to make sure these kids don't do this and that. And we changed their lives. These kids, they still find me on Instagram now and say, oh, sir, I still got one now. Thursday night, I teach a boxing class. He found me on Instagram, Mr. Evangelou, I want to come. I'm like, all right, come. So I let him come. And I let him come for free because obviously they've got a bit of a financial problem. Not problems, but you know what it's like.
Difficulties, yeah.
So but I like to think I touched their lives and maybe made a little difference. You can only sow seeds, but you can't change them forever. But
probably made a very big impact.
I think some of them would, like I said, they still find me and they still come and they say, oh, Mr. Evangelou, how you doing? Man. I need a bit of help with this. You always
remember them teachers that make an impact.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't just me because the rest of them were the same as me. We had a really strong team and that's what I'd done, by the way. And they used to do maths, English, boxing, very low level maths and English, by the way, like functional skills, not GCSEs, but boxing and art, crafts, music, and they used to, and as I said, so it was really successful.
That's good.
So I'd done that for 7 years, and I left last year to fully manage my gym just because it needed me there. How
did you find leaving? Was you ready to leave?
Yeah, because I was there for 15 years, and there's only so much you can do because it's a very emotional game. Imagine I've got girls who come in who, one girl was raped by her father. So you imagine the emotional damage. But she never used to go to school. She used to come every day. And when she left, her mum was like, I just want to thank you because this place has changed her life. She used to be like the demon child at home. Her mum used to say, like, tantrums. Because you imagine being in an environment trauma.
Yeah,
she said since she's been coming here, she doesn't do it anymore.
Amazing.
Or other kids... what were the other kids like? It was just that sort of character.
And this so is when like real life.
You're taking the emotional burden from them, and it doesn't leave you straight away. No. Maybe the boxing was my outlet to really keep it going. So I was taking it, letting it out, letting it out, and I had a very high appetite for boxing. Maybe I needed it for me because I was just thinking about it. I was going there. It was my therapy. But it was hard. It was like a hurricane because they weren't all nice to me. They weren't like, la, 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 Mr. Evangelou. They would be smashing the place up. They would be running towards me sometimes and I'll be grabbing them and they would be throw tantrums. But after we were mates, but we could heal very quickly because they knew that I'd love for them. And that was all. The main thing with these kids is if you show them you really like them, they'll like you. If you're fake, they can sniff it. They're so smart. And it was good, man. What was your question?
About the psychological, like...
Oh, yeah, and that's how I dealt. I think boxing helped me from it. Yeah. But it was like a hurricane. Yeah, and then they go, and then we all would sit down, me and Sarah and Colin and Sean and Peter, if he's listening to this, I'll get him to listen. And we'll go, oh God, again tomorrow. And then we'll do it all again tomorrow. Because imagine, you've got to get these guys to do maths. Because we can't just say you don't want to do maths, don't worry about it. So we've still had to encourage them to do something they don't want to do. This one will fly off that, they will throw that one there.
But that's actually a really good thing, like, because that's what I've noticed at the Fit Factory. There's a lot of encouragement.
Yeah.
And like that's a positive way of developing people, isn't it? It's like when people, oh, you're doing well, like, all right, they might not be doing as well as you might think.
No, you got to be realistic.
And
you've got to.
But but to know that somebody's like, oh, like, well done, keep up the
It's
good
nurturing.
work. Like, yeah,
It's nurturing.
yeah,
You're
definitely.
nurturing someone who, my dad's an archbishop, and he's the head of a church, and church is he's done his what's the word?
A very godly person, isn't
But
he?
he spreads. He's got a lot of churches. He works for a lot of African churches. Now he's working in China as well. And I relate a gym and a church as the same place. They're both for people who are broken, whether it's emotional, physical, or mental, or even spiritual. You're coming to a place of a community where people are trying to better themselves. So they're very, very similar, because I was raised in the church. I was raised in the church since I was about, I can't remember, 9, 10 or 11 until maybe 30. So 20 years. And when I say raised in the church, Tuesday night, prayer night, Friday night, Bible study, Sunday night, morning church, Saturdays, outreaches, which are like church events.
Did you believe? Did you?
I do believe in God.
Yeah,
I believe in God, and it's never left me. My principles stay with me, and I don't go to church on Sundays anymore because I don't really have the time to commit to church. I've got 2 little kids that are 1 and a 4-year-old, and a life and a business. And I know the Bible says you've got to give God that time. But I've done 4 a week, man, for at least 20 years. So I've got 8 years.
I did my time, yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, I do think they coincide.
You might go back to it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And you could always, I mean, the Bible says as well, church, if there's one in my presence, I think it's 1 or 2, could be 1 or 2. But there's always, you're in my presence. So I still pray every night. It's a quick prayer, but at least I'm conscious that I do pray to God, and I pray throughout the day sometimes if I need to. Just quickly say a prayer. So yeah, I do think they coincide, and that's how I see the gym. I've lost myself now.
That's all right.
No,
it's quite interesting. Like, so you obviously got some good, strong core values from like religion, essentially.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So yeah, and it does help you. And I don't know how. I do believe in God, and I believe in the power of not suggestion. If you believe in it and you want it bad enough, you can get it. Yeah. I wanted to be a pro boxer. I found actually a diary when I was about 12 years old, and I wrote, when I'm older, I want to be a professional boxer. I didn't even want to be a professional boxer. I wanted to be a chef, actually, and I wanted to own a restaurant.
But you're a terrible cook.
Just cooking up people.
I'm actually good. I've got to cook for you one day.
Yeah.
I love it. I love doing, when I cook for my wife, I like putting the things together.
I don't like cooking, so
this
is
perfect. Well, I should have married you.
Yeah.
My wife actually thinks that.
His partner keeps, she keeps giving me the eye.
He's the other half. He's my other half. He's the third part of me.
The third wheel.
She's the third wheel, if anything.
Yeah, probably, you're right. We went to
dynamics.
Telford together to fight Ezra, to box Ezra
Yeah.
when I was in the corner with him. And they never had enough room, so we had to share a bed. Do you mind me saying that like publicly?
No.
That's all right, George.
We had our clothes on.
No, yeah.
We had a sauna.
I literally was on the end of the bed,
curled up.
Yeah, that was a hard sleep, man. We just lay there like. But at least we had
I had a great time.
Frank Warren, thank you for the hotel.
Yeah,
It's cool.
But what was I saying? I was saying something about
religion,
power of belief.
Yeah.
So I wanted a gym. It might be 9 years ago now. So I was 9 years ago when I was about 31, when I kind of was like, wasn't boxing as much. I was like, I need to get a gym. My dad had a gym in Edmonton. And I was kind of like PTing there. And my brother was PTing in another gym in Palmer's Green. I forgot what it's called.
Was it
not Pure? I never remember. I can't remember. Yeah. But anyway, there's a gym in Palmer's Green. He was there. I was there. But we were always together, me and my brother, when we were training. It didn't feel right. We weren't in the same place. And I was looking for 8 or 9 years. And I remember one year, it was coming. 6 weeks holidays are the best thing about to work in education. Because you don't have a job for 6 weeks.
But you get paid.
And you get paid.
Yeah. And all the rest of the breaks.
And the rest. Listen, every 6 weeks you're not working. It's Easter. We've got 2 weeks off. I'm knackered. Don't worry, in a week you've got another 2 weeks off. Eat Christmas.
Thank God for that. Like, those 2 weeks have been mental.
And then, and even, you know what it's like when you're at school, the last 2 weeks before the 6 weeks holidays, nothing's even happening. We're watching films and playing games. It's sports week.
Yeah, it's a joke.
So I had 2 months off. And then I got to the last week and I was depressed. I was like, fuck, I've got to go back to work. And I was always looking for a gym. Back before COVID, it kind of changed a lot of things, to be fair, but gym usages of a premises, of a building, had to be a D2, which they're very, very hard to find because nurseries can use them and gyms. It's got to do
a D2?
A D2 is like business usage. So you know, a cafe is an A1 or something.
Oh, so it's a category.
Office is like
Right.
B2. I might be wrong. If any
License.
estate agents are listening, please correct me.
you got to mate this one. So
yeah, you'll probably say, oh, actually. But I could never find one. And then there was a place in Broomfield Park, and it was the old Bowls hut. And it was empty because my dad's got his gym's in an old football hut. So I was like, let's go and get one of these buildings that's empty. My background's education. I work with kids with very various backgrounds, but vulnerable children. Broomfield Park has got this building here, and it was in a decent area, like it's Palmer's Green, Winchmore Hill sort of area. So I thought, yeah, this is where I want my client base to be.
Nice.
So I was going to the Friends of the Park meetings every month. Now, the Friends of the Park meetings are meetings with about 30, 80-year-olds. And these guys are the Friends of the Park, and they run the park here. They're the mafias of the park. So I'm going there. Yeah, these guys, you've got to get in with them. If you're not in with them, you ain't getting in.
You ain't getting nothing.
I was like, hey, doing, man? You're right. Yeah, do you know what I'm going to do for you guys? I'm going to set up 8 of the kids that I work with. Every Wednesday, we're going to come and we're going to plough the fields here. So every Wednesday, dig that. Yeah, get that fence there. Yeah, shall we build this? We're working with them. It weren't my incentive to do it, but I ended up setting that up. So every Wednesday, we just take these kids
That's character building as well.
to Broomfield Park. Yeah, it was brilliant. And we worked with them, and so I got in there with them, and I was like, look, I want to use this building for a boxing club that's going to be privately owned, but I'm going to do youth work as well out of it, because there's a lot of vandalism in Broomfield Park, which you find out at these meetings, because you find out everything about these things. Yeah. Oh, did you see
like
that he wanted to walk his dog down that path? Have you seen the film Hot Fuzz?
Yeah.
It's like that, yeah. Oh, did you see the graffiti? Well, we can't have that, man. I was
yeah.
like, oh, what?
Like Neighbourhood Watch.
And then I thought, I'm going to come and save everyone. I'm a pro boxer. I was a policeman. I'm work with kids. I'm going to turn this into something that I want, but something that's going to benefit the Broomfield Park committee.
Sick.
I've done this for 2 years. I was going to these meetings. I was the only one again. Hi, yeah, how you doing? You're like, oh yeah, we're rooting for you, Andreas, because they really like me. But there was a lot of red tape around it. And long story short, they were like, oh, we're really sorry. They were using it for nothing, yeah. Imagine this building was there for nothing. And there was an outdoor bowls area. You know, it's a square pitch. Sorry. You know, there's a square field for bowls.
Yeah.
I was going to make an amazing outdoor training camp, man. It was going to be wicked.
But they had to give you the go-ahead.
They had to just give me the go-ahead. I then became friends with someone from the council who was part of the parks, and her name was Loretta. And I was talking to her so much, she probably thought I fancied her. But I was like, no, listen, look at her. She was going, I'm backing you 100%. This is such a good idea. Everyone thought it was a good idea, except for getting it done.
What was the red tape?
Usage of parks and usage of buildings. And now, do you know what it is? It was a storage hut, and now I think they very, very rarely use it still. They don't use it, but it kind of like came to a dead end. Then I thought, all right, let me try the other parks. So I was trying to get any building I could in the wrong areas for me, but I was like, all right, I'm just going to go for it. These guys, you send them emails, they don't reply. I worked in the council. I know what it's like. They just go to work to get paid. I've done that a little bit, but I did work good with the kids. As you might know of any council workers, there's a lot of dead ends and you need contacts. And I had a few, but even they weren't opening doors. So then I was looking at other buildings and I was like, all right, let's get this one. No, it can't happen there. That one is brilliant, but it's in Edmonton, 3 minutes from my dad's gym. I'm not going to open a gym there. It just wouldn't make sense. And I wouldn't do that to my dad.
Because like, to be fair, I know some, I don't know them, but I saw somebody recently open a boxing gym in Edmonton.
Yeah.
And they were like trying to take kids off the street. And I was like, that's it. Like, that's exactly what Edmonton Eagles is and has been doing for years upon years, because your dad.
I mean, there's so many kids. I'm sure these places can help, but my dad has been there for 20 years. The gym has got an MBE for services to youth, and my dad's got an MBE.
And he's got a lot of sponsors as well.
We get sponsors. It's a community place. The police back us. People back us. A lot of people back my dad's gym.
There's one and only boxing gym.
There's only one in Edmonton. If you want to fight over it, we'll fight you for it.
So 12 and over, you're getting that.
But yeah, I'm nowhere near my dad's gym. But with my dad's gym's pro amateur boxing club, go there. Brilliant in the community. As I said, again, it's like a church. You might not go to church, but this saves kids' lives.
It's amazing.
So many parents just come and sit there and. Am I talking too much, by the way?
No, that's perfect.
Right. Because my wife's not let me talk this much. I'm only joking.
You're letting it all out now, yeah?
Yeah, I'm letting it all out. I might have to come back again.
Yeah. After the show, you can be like, can you take this out, take that out?
Yeah,
take
I know. No, go with what you want. But anyway, so I was really hard, man. I was like, and I was nearly crying. I was like, I got to go back to do what I don't want to do anymore. Not because I didn't enjoy it, but because
wasn't getting anywhere with
I'm
it.
an entrepreneur at heart, and I needed my own flagship to really fly my own flag and grow it and grow it and grow it because of my business background. I wanted to unleash my business. I didn't want to be an employee anymore. And I'm a great manager, but I didn't want to be managed anymore. I wanted me to be the manager. And I was a manager, but I had a manager above me and he had a manager above him. There was a hierarchy. And I just wanted it to be my own game.
You did your time though, didn't you?
I did my time of 15 years, man.
Yeah.
And while I was there, it was brilliant while I was boxing. My manager gave me the day off before a fight. Timings were brilliant and it really worked for me. And probably why I was undefeated, because I just had, the whole setup was there. So anyway, and I remember speaking to a woman called Skevy. I still remember this conversation. And I was like, yeah, she was like, what are you doing nowadays? This was about 9 years ago. And I said, I want to open a gym. And she said, oh, open a gym in Cockfosters. There isn't one there. And I was like, hang on a minute, there isn't a gym in Cockfosters. So I went and looked at it and I was like, there isn't a gym. And I was looking and there's very wealthy people in Cockfosters. And I'm from Wood Green. And boxing's a poor man's sport. So I never made loads of money out of it. I made enough to invest a bit of it, which was good, but nothing that was going to change my life. I still worked and I would still need to work now.
Considering you're putting your life on the line, like
listen, man, you're used, as I said, people just, they don't care. They just use your head to make money and they still do it. So I was like, yeah, man, this is the place, Cockfosters. Not just that, my clients will live in Cockfosters around the area. But this was 9 years ago. I looked and I was like, I can't do it, man. If they haven't done a gym in Cockfosters, if someone hasn't had the idea with 20, 30 million backing them, how am I going to get into Cockfosters? So I gave up. I was looking at the other parts of Enfield. I was looking at Barnet. I was looking at anywhere, even not really Palmer's Green, to be honest. That was the only place was Brimfield Park, and that took 2 years of dead end. So I had a table on my computer, and it was all my leads. Brimfield Park. Durance Park was one. Durance Park would have been a totally wrong area for me. Rough place down there. Not really the client base I wanted to build my brand up in. Then there was a couple commercial places. Spoke to that guy. I had estate agents I knew. And every time we were like, no. And I was like, how am I going to... Because it was a use was hard, as I said. Because nurseries have got the power to quickly get them in as well.
Yeah.
And then my wife's friend said, there's someone who's selling a shop in Cockfosters. Do you want to go and talk to him? And it was Made Man. You know, there was a clothing shop.
Aziz.
Yeah, him.
What?
So,
because
you know where it is, yeah?
And years ago he had a closing down sale, but
no, he's been closing down for 10 years. But this time apparently he was closing down.
I'll tell you, some real business.
I think now he is closed down.
No, he has.
But I went there and I was like, it was smaller, much smaller than what the Fit Factory is now. It was a lot smaller. But there was an outdoor bit. And I was like, yeah, I'll make a little shelter at the back and this will be a little PT area. And then at the front, I was going to have, you know, one of them little desks when you walk in. Like, just a little
reception,
desk.
yeah.
Not even a reception, man. I was going to have a little one of them with a chair. Oh, hi, you come to do a class. It was all going to be in one room.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I want this much for it. I was like, all right, can you do it for this much? And he was like, yeah. And then I said... And then I was like, all right, I left. And I was like, you know what, Chris, this might be it, man. I think we've got the place. And then I was talking to him, and there was, as I said, with the usage, I had to change the usage to be able to.
So what did you have to do for that?
Go to the council and put my plans in. The reason why it's difficult for a gym is sound pollution, traffic, mainly the sound and the disruption to the area. And you're having a different thing to a shop. You're having like 20, 30 people in there. Yeah. So I was like, a committee on the top. So I got my solicitor. I was like, I don't want to start with a solicitor, because once I start with a solicitor,
it's
you
going to
pay the money, and win, lose or draw, you've got to pay that money.
Yeah.
And I've spent a lot of money on solicitors before this.
Had your experience. So.
I had a bad taste in my mouth of experience. Not with my solicitor. He's a cool guy,
So what you were saying is if you didn't start a gym, you would have been a solicitor. Is that?
Couldn't report to read them books.
Yeah.
But I know as much now to be a solicitor. I've ever needed to be a solicitor. Google, man, taught me a hell of a lot. So anyway, and I was like, Chris, it weren't going to happen. But I told the guy my brother's going to come down and have a look. And I said, listen, man, I've told him to go and have a look, but just go and have a look. But it ain't going to happen. And he was like, yeah, all right. I'm surprised he even went, because my brother's busy. He's always PTing. And he went. And it's like, yeah, it could have worked, but anyway, it is what it is. And then he went to Raphael's Bakery, which is right next to my shop now. And Chris, who owns Raphael, is always, because I've been there 3 years nearly now, at the back. He's always at the back. He's never at the front of the shop.
He was at the back the other day, wasn't he?
He's always at the back.
Yeah.
Anyway, that split second of that one chance of Christopher going to a building we weren't even going to get, he said to Christopher, because Chris is a brilliant guy. My brother, about Chris, the other one I'm talking about, he's a lovely man. He said, "Hey, what are you doing here, man?" He was going, "Oh, I was going to go and look at a gym across the street." 1 minute. Come here.
Come out the back.
Come out the back. And he got into the back. He said, "This guy, his name is Barrett, Asian man. He had the run down dry cleaners, really run down. And it was just one massive room. Like the gym was big for a shop.
Yeah.
And anyway, my brother went there and he messaged me this video of this thing dripping there, clothes on the wall. The you know when you get dust, you know when it molds up that it can become like when you go like that and it's like the inside of a pillow.
Oh
Yeah,
Imagine
fluff.
that was on the walls.
Oh,
Sorry if anyone was using this place as it was running.
Yeah, that's still
Sorry, Barrett. I doubt he will listen to this, but anyway, he's retired now. You can't touch him. His company's folded.
Yeah, really.
So anyway, he was like, sent me the video. I was like, hang on a minute, man. This looks big enough. So I went there the next day.
Was he selling at the time?
No, he wasn't.
weren't
He had a
selling.
stroke. And this wasn't on the market. And Chris was like, hey, talk to him. I was like, all right, this is Chris Raphael. And so I was like, oh, Barrett, how you doing, man? You're right. And he was like, yeah, I want to get out of here. I've had a stroke. He was limping. And I thought, you know what, this guy's done. He ain't going to want to work anymore. COVID was COVID happening at the time as well? Or did it happen while we started? COVID was happening while we were doing this, and I
You
didn't.
were still actively looking while COVID started.
Yeah, man.
COVID
I thought,
started,
you know
really.
what? I didn't even know what COVID was. I was like, what? We're going to close down the world? I didn't think that would happen. So I was like, look, I've got to change the business usage, but it's going to cost me £3,000-4,000. So I said, listen, if I do this, it's not going to go on the market. You're not going to give it to someone else, are you? And he was like, nah. So I Googled the contract and I wrote one myself. And I said, you sign this, yeah? So in the meantime, if you give it to someone else, you're giving me the $4,000.
Yeah,
and he signed it.
Standard.
And he was like, all right. So he signed it, yeah.
Well, fair
The
enough.
reason being, the business usage change takes about 3 months. So there's a 3 months. And he was probably thinking, oh, no, I don't want to wait 3 months. And there was someone else who wanted it as a dry cleaners.
Okay.
And I was like up against this guy, and I was like, oh man, he's just gonna give it to this guy. Anyway, he signed it, and I just was friendly with him, and we became friends. And I thought I wasn't gonna get it because I know how hard it is to change the usage. And I got architects to draw plans. I just put all the money I had to put down. I didn't do it cheap because I thought if I try and Google this one and it flops, I'm gonna waste a lot of time, a lot of money. And I was always anxious because I knew there was a date when there was a decision date, and I was in my old house 100%. And I was pacing in the garden, and I remember seeing it, and it said granted, and I was like,
Wow,
yeah.
even now I just got a bit emotional thinking
deep,
about that, man.
yeah.
There was 9 years looking, 7 years at the time.
But you still had to get over the hump of getting the place as well.
Oh right, that was it, yeah. But I got the usage now, and I was like, I got the usage, man. I flipping got it, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I spoke to the landlord upstairs, lovely couple. They still live upstairs. And I spoke to them. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. Because then I thought, oh, man, you know what? They might not want a bloody gym underneath them. They live upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were lovely. They were like, oh, that sounds brilliant. Yeah, we'll do it. And then they said, this price, which was a lot more than what Barrett was paying. I was like, come on, man, doing this price. I'll keep it at that price for a year and I'll meet you halfway. As I said, really nice people. Backing us, still back us today. And we got it, and we went to solicitor, done the paperwork, signed the paper, and we had this big building to do up, and our money wasn't that much of a stretch. And then COVID happened. So we had the builders in there during COVID when they had to stop working. One builder would get COVID. They never came in that day for 2 weeks. So I was in there. I've still got scars pulling on my legs, smashing the place down, chipping away at the walls. I painted the whole of the Fit Factory, the first one, with a painter, with a decorator, a good friend of mine, Andrew, because I can do the rolling, but I couldn't do the finishing. So it was like, listen, I'll help you out, man. I'll do the corners. Again, he done it for nothing for me, man. It was like, let me help you out. He done it for me. And So me and Christopher, by the way, we were just smashing the place up. Done that. I didn't do anything I couldn't do. I couldn't tile. I didn't tile. I couldn't do the soundproofing, which that whole place is bloody soundproof. You can't hear nothing.
Yeah.
If I got the money back for that, I'd bloody love it.
Wow.
It was a fortune doing the soundproofing because everything was just way more than I thought. When COVID happened, timber went up, everything went up. Do you remember that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so it was like my figures
tough.
were doubled, let's say.
There was a lack of supplies as well, so you couldn't get a lot of building supplies at one point because everything was on stop.
It was hard. It was
Yeah,
hard.
it was
But
very
anyway,
hard.
I was going there by myself in there, banging it away, paying the rent because the rent started as well. And I was like, we got to get this place open. So we were there, and I thought, you know what, it don't matter. We're going to be busy, man. We're going to be busy because I remember this. You remember the film Field of Dreams?
Yeah, if you build it.
I was always doing it, and I was thinking, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
The only little
There's a
problem I got
saying,
now,
there's-
everyone bloody came.
Yeah,
I've got to work out. I'm gonna
That's smashed.
do
My
that.
dad,
And
my dad loves that film.
yeah,
as
it's a
well.
lovely
Is it?
film. It's
He
a brilliant
goes,
film.
If you build it, it will come.
Oh,
And
wicked.
You got
they
to build
will
it
come.
with
What's it
faith.
called? What's
It's
the
called
film?
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner, yeah.
Oh, cool, nice.
And I was just faith, man, because I put everything in that place. All my life savings, everything. And then what happened? So we were doing it up, and then we ran out of money. And I was like, what are we supposed to do now? So I was having to get loans all over the gaff. And I was getting loans, and I was maxed out. And Chris, my done it the same. My godmum's helped us out a lot, but again, as in a loan as well. No one's actually given us anything for the gym. Like, it was just
You gotta
me and
pay
my
it all
brothers.
back. Yeah, they've
Yeah,
just
like
advanced.
everything. It was just me and my brothers back. We work hard, we PT all day, and we put it in the gym. And even now, if we're short, we put it in the gym again because we always need stuff, equipment, things like that. But anyway, we were bloody open, and then the government said to us, "Oh, we've got to close down for 3 months." I was like, "What are you talking about, man? We weren't, but we nearly. We traded in December, and our Instagram was showing trading in December. But obviously, a gym is going to open in January because who was going to sign up to a gym in December the
it's
15th?
New Year's Revolution.
Yeah, New Year's Revolution. So on our social media, we're saying opening in January. Sign up now. But we needed a soft opening with our personal training clients because we were allowed to do that. We were doing that. And then they closed down. They were giving out government grants, 15 grand, 12 grand, whatever it was. Oh, hi, can we get our grant money, please? Because we're not allowed to trade and we need to pay the rent and the rates.
They said you're not eligible.
They said, sorry, but your social media says you're open in January. You wasn't trading before the 1st of January. We were like, we were open. I'll show you bank statements. I'll show you this. We were open.
What, they checked your social media?
Yeah, they said your social
What?
media says you're open in January the 1st. I said, okay, we're doing a soft opening. Do you want to see bank statements to show the money coming in? The only one we will accept is the PDQ machine. I said, the PDQ machine hasn't been set up yet.
That's
Yeah, well, then we can't take it. Sorry. They were the evidence they wanted. We had this evidence. They wanted that evidence. But that evidence was showing we were doing it.
Bearing in mind they were like giving it out to people left, right, and centre, and you literally started trading in
I
December.
knew people were getting... Listen,
I know.
You know
I
when they were
heard
doing
some-
that
I
eat
heard-
out to help out thing? Basically, if you spend £10 in there, they give you another tenner back. You know how many people I know were doing £10? Oh, yeah, we spent the £4,000 this week. Put their money in, got 4 grand back on top of it.
What?
The system was thick, but we couldn't do it.
So you didn't get it?
Well, we fought them for 3 months, and don't mess with me, because
but
I don't give up. They gave us some of it,
It's
yeah.
stubborn.
But
After
still,
3
them 3
months.
months though.
Yeah, no, we had to pay it ourselves.
It's
Do you know
tough,
what? We
bro.
had to make money from the coffee at the front of the shop to pay the bills, and I weren't even making the money to pay the bills. We're making like £150 a day.
Small contribution.
It was nothing.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, it just helped us out a little bit, and we were just constantly saying to people, we're opening. We got a lot of people's names and numbers down. I had like 400 numbers when we were ready to open. I have to thank I have to thank my brother, by the way.
Was this all the 8-year-old men at the Broomfield? Like, you had all their numbers. Like,
Oh
come
yeah. Come to me.
yeah. Come to
And
the
I was
gym.
going to say, better have been some good coffee, man.
Our coffee's the best, man.
Is it?
Everything we do, there's the
It's-
best.
okay,
Everyone
okay.
knows we're the best at
Okay.
a lot of things we do. But
You don't skimp, like, do you, in there? And
we never skip to
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
And as well, I know the standard's high there because of the community. It's a very high. I mean, you could eat across the street, a steak dinner costs you over £100 a head. I can't be skimping on light switches for £5. They were the ones I was getting like £120, this, that.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I spent so much money now. I don't even care anymore. Just do it. We'll
do
find it from somewhere and find it. And we found it. And then we needed a lot of money at one point. And the next week, something happened. And we just got it.
Boom.
And it saved us. And have you seen Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
You know the ending where the Green Army just come and just kill everyone, and it's kind of like a cheat mode. I sent that clip to my brother on video on YouTube. I was like, "Yeah, you see that?
This is what happened here.
That's what just happened."
That's faith, though. That's faith and
We just went by
believing
faith, man.
Bro,
We
that's
just went by faith.
Amazing story, bro.
So then, though, the gym story. I'm coming to the end of where I'm at now in my life in a few
It's
minutes.
alright, yeah, it's
Right.
No, yeah, keep
So
going, man.
after 4 months, I said to my brother Chris, I have to thank my brother Christopher for the bounce back loan, the government grant, because he pushed them. And the lady, I don't know who it was, but thank you if you're listening, because one of them said, you know, I'm approving this, and she done it. My brother's got a good charm; he can get he can get what he wants sometimes. So anyway, after 4 months, I said to Christopher, Chris, man, we need another bloody gym. We're too busy here. The room was saturated. You've seen the room, what I have? The classroom.
Right, yeah.
There'll be 20 people doing classes. 4 people PTing with 4 PT, so there's 8 in that room, 30 people in this room, subject to COVID guidelines.
2 meters apart, of course.
We were at the back, 2 meters apart. Oh yeah, let's train with a mask on. We had to open the back door and train in the outside as well, because we got the back alley bit, so we were running up and down the street doing pads at the back. Me and my brother were doing pads, he was doing pad work in the front. It was crazy. I said, Chris, it was about mid-December, and I said, give me a break because I've just finished this gym. We've only been open a few months. I need to rest. But I said, the 1st of Jan or the 2nd, I'm going to look for another gym. But I need it to be 1 mile radius, and this gym, because we're on a high street, we're going to feed that gym. But we need a boxing ring because we're losing people because they want to take their boxing a bit more serious, and we only had bags, and it was pad work and moving around, but we needed a ring. The ring was a key to the success of our gym. So we need 1 mile radius. Anyway, I thought, forget it. Anyway, the week later, Christopher comes to me and says, Christopher, guess what? I said, what? He said, you know, the shop next door, they want to sell up. They've just told us if we want to take it off their hands. I was like, what?
Gives
Oh,
you
no, I
goosebumps,
didn't
eh?
say what. I said, forget it, man. Do you know how much work it's going to be? He's going to want to flip a lot of money for this because it was a successful business as far as I'm aware. It was a massage parlour, but I saw people
Yeah,
in and out a
remember,
lot, in and out. And I was like, and they were there for a few years. But it was just as big. I've got the 2 biggest shops in Cockfosters.
Oh, nice.
As in,
Have you? Square foot?
Yeah.
Really?
Per shop unit.
Okay.
So which I needed. Remember I said I needed the
100%.
space.
That was a godsend, wasn't it, really, to next door?
Well, anyway, he said to me, but I just thought, nah, I'm not getting my hopes up in the slightest. And then I started just sitting on it, and I thought the next day, hang on a minute, man, hang on a minute. This changes the game here because we can have a gym, as in gym equipment. But then I thought, then there was the business usage as well. And
Did you have to get permission there as well?
No, the law changed since COVID. They made everything an E-class.
Oh.
So basically, you could change any building into anything you want. I still had to go to planning to change, but it was a lot easier.
Oh, cool.
So I was a lot more confident. I still had to whack down a few grand again and go on
Permission for
permission through the council again. Then I had to cut a doorway through. Then people were saying, you're not going to get the permission because it's this landlord and that landlord. One of my landlords lives in Australia.
Oh,
one
that's
lives there.
interesting.
2 different people.
This guy was like, no problem with the address. That guy was like, send me your business plan. I sent it. I said, look, we're busy. We're doing well. We want to expand. So much so that within 6 months of opening, we need to take it next door. They said, yeah, okay. But they didn't say it that easy. This wall doorway was a bloody nightmare. I had to learn a lot. The structural. It was a structural wall.
On top,
Which meant
they've got the masonettes.
So it's
they
holding
got,
stuff
so
up.
Yeah, it was holding stuff up, man. There's
lot,
what's it called
RSJ.
RSJ there.
yeah.
But that time, I was paying this solicitor, that solicitor, that solicitor, and that solicitor, and I was paying all the bills. And solicitors aren't £5 an hour.
No.
So I pumped thousands into this. I never even had this contract. I never even saw the contract. I was waiting. They were going, oh, we want this, we want that, we want the RAMs, we want the scheme of work, whatever it's called. We want the risk assessment. We want asbestos report. £300. Oh yeah, just do it. Again, I got so deep in. I thought, fuck, am I going to do this, man? And I thought after about 5 months, or it took me 6 months of doing this negotiation, I'm just going to call it a day and just cut my losses because I was really frustrated. Anyway, but my perseverance in life doesn't let me do that. So I just cracked on and we got it.
Sick.
And there was no guarantees in this either.
There was never a
there?
guarantee, man, because it was all behind the scenes
That's
of
faith.
Yeah, it was faith again of what we're going to do.
Believing in
but
something
here was
you
the
can't
other
see,
thing,
innit?
by the way. We spent every pound we had in this place, but we were doing well. So we had a bit of money saved up, me and my brother. And we were like, all right, let's do this one now. And it cost me double what the first one cost.
Oh, swear.
Yeah.
Why was that?
Because I had to whole kit out a whole gym.
Because you're getting the ring and this and that.
Oh, the ring was like thousands.
Yeah,
The gym equipment we got, we could have gone with just an average brand, but we went with
High end.
very high end. Everything we do in that place has to be high end because we want to be a high end
Like plush.
service. Plush, high end, top service. Our PTs, I would say 150 people have applied to PT there.
Oh,
and we've got
cool.
like 12.
12
So
PTs.
less
Really?
than 10% can get in.
Really good guys. as
Yeah,
well.
and they have
sick,
to be
bro.
good. Our
Yeah.
boxing coaching, I aim for pro boxers because, again, as I said, it's a poor man's sport. These guys want to be in a gym environment, so they want to make money in the gym. And they imagine a pro boxer spent 10, 15 years learning boxing. They're going to teach you, not boxercise, they'll teach you how to box.
Box, yeah.
So anyway, we had a bit of money saved up and we just started doing it. And I still don't know how we done it, but we bloody done it. And there was one more big bill. And I was like, everything's maxed out now. Even my mum got a loan in her name, bless her, just to help us out. Because we're not the Hadley Wood
know,
boys, yeah? We're from
yeah.
the Weather Wood Green, not Hadley Wood.
Yeah, 100%. Like, so you risked it all. Like, essentially, you've risked it
I
all.
moved my family out of our house. We moved to another house closer to Southgate because I needed to be in the battlefield. I needed to be
You needed to
3
be
minutes
front
away,
line.
in, out, get in, get out,
Nice.
get in, get out. And that time going to and from where we were living,
Too
I
much.
needed to be on it. And my wife, as again, an amazing woman, she's backed me for 10 years nearly. Sacrificed everything to be with me. I'd done the same in the sense of my everything was my boxing, but it's all of them adversities got me to where I am today, and that I'm happy where I am. I'm not made it yet, but I'm happy where I'm at. And anyway, so we needed quite a bit of money, and we were out. And I don't even know, thinking about how we would have done this if we didn't get this. My brother's an actor. He gets a call from his agent, and he's like, "What's that? What? Okay, all right, yeah." He puts the phone down, and he's like, "I've just got an acting job in Mexico for 6 weeks, starring with Star Wars actors, starring with and that's coming out in a couple of months, by the way. It's called La Machina,
Oh, cool,
The
man.
Machine,
Oh, sick.
and he plays a boxer in it." And he fights for the world title in it against this Mexican who's making a comeback. And he's in the whole last series. And then they said, "Chris, your choreography and your boxing was absolutely amazing. Can you stay for another couple of weeks? And we'll give you this much." And when it was this much, like, "Oh, can we give you this much?" And it was like, "What?" I mean, I want to say how much it was, but it was nearly exactly what we needed. And it weren't 2-3 grand. I mean, it was
It's a substantial amount.
Yeah, a substantial amount. And he just... Again, the Lord of the Rings
bro.
scene, come and smashed it.
For things like that.
And we've done it again. And we have actually the perfect gym now. We've got the gym at the front. We've got the coffee shop at the front. Coffee shop at the front. We've got the gym at the back that we do classes. Then you go there. Now, the boxing ring I've put on the front of the shop. So I've got a big mirror, not a big window. Everyone who walks past, "Oh my God, they're doing boxing." Every day, 10 people come in. "Oh, can I sign up?" They don't all sign up. We don't get 10 sign-ups a
But
day,
it
but
catches
there's
people.
people coming. Then I've got the fully kitted that ring there. Then my wife does laser hair removal and like injectables. She had a shop, but it made sense just move with me. So she's got a room at the back, changing rooms. We do massages. It's the whole pie, man.
That's
and,
wicked, man.
It all worked. And so I don't even know how it happened. And if someone said, "Yeah, this is the premises," I would definitely not have been able to do it because I would have been priced out. It was like the only way I could have done this was in 2 halves.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to afford the full bill
It happened
if it was
perfect
one
how
hit.
it was meant to be. kind of
Exactly. And as I said, God has got our back somehow.
thing. Yeah, 100%.
Then my favourite saying is about adversity, and it's adversity is like a strong wind. It tears away but all but the things that can't be torn, so we can see ourselves as we really are. So that's Arthur Golden. It's always stuck with me, that saying. I don't know many quotes that long that
Can you say that again? One more time.
adversity is like a strong wind. It tears away from us all but the things that we are, so that we can see ourselves as we really are.
Truthful.
So
Oh,
imagine adversity, bam, relationship issue with, like, even for my wife, for example, let's say, the adversity we went through, no couple should ever have to go through. But when we went through the furnace, what was left after the adversity pushing us? It was our love for each other, because they couldn't take. It took everything from us except for our love, and even my gym, the adversity of the boxing side, the adversity of everything, is tore away from us all that we are. And who am I? I'm married to the love of my life. I've got my 2 boys, Sebastian and Oscar, loves of my life. I would never trade my world title for them. That guy I did knock out, did go and fight on the world stage, was number 3 in the world. I banged him out in 4 rounds. Sorry, I don't mean it like that, but
I did.
But it's the truth.
But that was the level I was at. But I didn't need the belt to prove it. Do you know what I mean? I can do it. And but now I've got the dream job. I'm not managed anymore. I am the manager. I do what I want to an extent.
You still do the work with the youths.
I still got another company called Pro Youth. So I go into schools, and I still have I work with youth offending. So youth offending, I've got a contract with Enfield Council. They send me some kids, and I work with them. And these are the ones who have been like, one of them, my latest one I've got was done for mugging someone at knife point. And again, boxing changed their lives. The other one was done for drug dealing. They sent me quite a few, and so I still work with them. I still work with local schools because my background is education and mentoring to an extent.
Helping transforming people's lives.
Exactly. And I still love Monopoly.
Still play it on my own.
Yeah, I don't play it on my own, but I play the real life Monopoly now. I like property developing, and I managed to get a few from my boxing days and my investments, and my gym is now my what's the word?
Sanctuary.
It's a sanctuary, but it's my vessel to do my next thing now, which is I've done the gym, but I still want us to get back to my property, and I want to build as much as I can and grow that company, as well as my white collar boxing promotion, which feeds off the gym as well, because we've got a show in York Hall, which is really hard to do a show in York Hall because it's such a big venue, but we're doing it after my 5th show. So I'm promoting, I'm coaching, I'm a manager, I'm married, I've got 2 kids. I've started training again as well last month because I realised I needed to look after myself as well, and I feel amazing. And even talking tonight has made me realise how fortunate I am and how blessed I am. And I'm not finished yet. My gym's only 5 months old.
You're still a young man, mate.
I'm 40 at the end of the year. That is also my target, to be hit 40 and be where I want to be, because a lot of people say is when life starts, and if it starts, I'm gonna really enjoy it.
Then you've got a colourful life ahead of you.
And then I've got the rest of it, and to enjoy my kids and just to help them grow and develop. And I work with my wife now, not in the same industry, but we work the same building, and I'm excited about the future. So that's my story, man. And I had a bit more adversity than that, but
mate.
That's for part 2.
Exactly.
Well, that's an amazing story.
Yeah, no, thank you for today. That was a really good story.
I enjoyed it. As I said, I probably realised I'm talking more than I normally talk, but I don't know.
Do you know what? There's only one other person out of everyone we've interviewed that talks just as much as you do.
Who is it? You?
That's my dad.
Is it?
My dad. Between the pair of you guys,
we'll have to go for dinner one day.
You just make our jobs easy. We just need some popcorn for next time, and
I'm looking forward to listening to myself.
We'll have to maybe go down one day to the gym and film it and make it a video,
come down as well.
Show our viewers.
And as I said, my brother's got his story. He's had his adversity. My dad's had his adversity.
I've got to tie Chris down.
Chris has got a different spin. He's channeled the boxing into. He still boxes, as I said on Friday, but his career is more now more into the acting, and he's doing really well.
He was in the Gentleman.
He was in the Gentleman.
And we got
EastEnders. I don't watch it as much anymore. But
Sammy was in it. For anyone that don't know it, Sammy was in EastEnders. We'll have to find the clip.
I that jacket off Mo, didn't I?
Did you?
That fur jacket.
I wouldn't mind seeing that now.
We'll find it. But and then we got your dad Costa coming on.
My dad, I'm 39. My dad's about 64. My dad had
cancelled the day.
More adversity than I've had.
And
he's done a lot more than me as well. So he's
got a good story.
He might go over a lot more than
the time
I've done.
You smashed it, bro.
No, but thank you.
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it myself.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Cheers, man.
Big love, man.
Take care.